The Guru is live.
Good morning. Well, here we are, mid-February, and the markets are on fire. Wow. Everything we're bidding on, everything we have clients out there on, are getting multiple offers, and it's just like crazy competitive offers. So welcome to Real Estate Daily with your guru, and the markets mid-February acting like it's already mid-spring is what it's acting like. But here we go again with a hot market, and the topic for today is, what does it really mean when it says sold as is? I mean, what does as is actually mean in the market? Does as is have any meaning? I'd like to know in the comments, by the way, how do you treat a negotiation when it says as is? Now, we know that there is some legality to this, and I'll cover that a little bit, but that's not the point of today, because we're talking about negotiation. We're talking about building your business and how to build your business, and I don't care what it says. It might say as is, it might say beware, it might say whatever. But how do you put it in the comments when it says as is? What does that mean to you, and what does it mean to your clients? When do your clients think that as is means a better deal? I think the common thought process out there is that it says as is, I'm going to get a phenomenal low price deal. But if you think something different, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Also, take a moment, hit the like button. Following us on social media, I love it. It is one of my wonders to look at in the morning to see who's following us on social media. Let me get back to everybody. And I try to make a comment to everybody's comment out there, particularly if you're asking a question, of course. But follow us on social media. Follow us on Facebook, on YouTube. And today's the day for this, by the way. Go to YouTube, and you can see the banner right down here below where the channel is. That's your-realestateguru.com. So right here in the banner, right down below, on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. The subscribe button will unlock the Guru members only events for you. Today, it is Wednesday, and today is a Guru members only event where we started last week, and once you're a subscriber, you can go back and look at the past ones, where we're going over the 1 week business plan. Last week, we talked about the management plan. Yes, you need a management plan. As an individual, you need one. And we go over exactly how to do it. Today, though, we're talking about the marketing plan, and we're going to peel it apart. Hit the like button, give me a comment, follow us, and let's get going with what does as is in the marketplace mean. So there's types of as is. You have to be aware of what type of as is you're actually dealing with. So are you dealing with an individual seller of a home that is putting in there as is? Now, what does that mean? We don't even know what it means. Legally, we know what it means. We've all studied it. That's fine. Okay, so as is, particularly when it comes to chattels, personality, it means merchant. It is not merchantable. Well, so we're not going to go to that because we're in real estate. What does it really mean when we say a chunk of real estate is as is? So you have an individual person that's out there and they're selling their home. I think, and I'd love to hear from you on this, I believe they are trying to tell the market, I don't want to do repairs on this home. I put enough money into it. I put $40,000 into it. I'm selling it as is. It's a beautiful home. It's terrific. The market reads as is wildly different. So when I see sellers or I talk to a seller and they tell me, I want you to put as is in that listing, I'm not doing anything else to this. We have to have a conversation as to what is going on. What's the meaning of as is to the market? And I'm not talking the legal meaning. I'm talking the social meaning. I'm talking the meaning that you have to deal with your clients every single day. When they send you that text message. I love it. You're busy sending them homes. It fits their criteria, and they're out there taking pictures, and they send you, did you see this in the market? Did you see this one? And you're thinking, I sent you all these homes. How can you not know that? And then they say, here's one as is. This is going to be, we can bid this one down. Is that what's really happening? By the way, I hope you're sipping a cup of coffee with me this morning. I've got my standard, oh, goodness sakes, Black Rifle Coffee Company coffee going this morning, and we got the name of it right down here in the banner. They are not a sponsor. I just like to promote them because I believe in what they're doing. They support our troops, and I love that. Try our coffee out. I am sipping this morning Blackbeard's blend. It's a very, very dark roast espresso blend, and I make it within a mocha pot. As an M-O-K-A. I've got to get that in the banner, a mocha pot. You can find it on Amazon. Okay, so what kinds of as-is are out there? Well, there's different types. So let's talk about a couple of them, other than the interpretation of the person is critical. What they actually mean by as-is. You've got to have the conversation. If you're representing the seller, you've got to have a conversation with them as to what do they actually mean when they say they want you to put as is in. On the buyer side, what are they thinking that as is means in the negotiation? All right, so in as is, let's just think about it this way. There's DIY and there's contractors. There's do it yourself and there's contractors. On the as is, often there are some repairs. There's certainly an assumption that the price is going to be lowered. Now, the sellers often are saying, I'm not lowering my price. But we're talking about from the market. What is the market thinking about this? And the market is thinking, you're going to lower your price because you've got some kind of problem looming out there you're not telling me about, and you're purposely selling this as is to trap me. What is the as-is repair? Is it a DIY or is it a contractor piece? In other words, is it something that your buyer can actually do themselves, or do they need to go out and hire a contractor to do it? Unraveling that mess can be very difficult. It'll probably take an inspection, certainly a critical walkthrough of the home. You ask the questions of the seller's agent to find out, what do they mean by as is? Where are we at on this? I mean, it can be as complicated as, well, we're just not going to paint the house again. We were asked to paint it and the sale failed, and we painted it brown, and we're not going to paint it yellow for you. Well, okay, that's a different kind of as is, isn't it? They're thinking they just don't want to paint the house again. Or are we talking about the house is in the middle of a remodel, and there's rooms torn up, and there's sheetrock missing, and there's floors missing, and it's kind of half-inch studs, and they're saying as is. That's a different kind of as is. That's a different kind of as is animal. That's completely different versus the person who says, I just don't want to paint my house again. I'm not going to paint you. You take it as is or else, and I'm selling it top dollar. Well, maybe you shouldn't use the word as is if you're thinking you're selling at top dollar, because you've just told the market there's something wrong with your home. Let's rearrange that language. Now, you're a professional. You are the professional. So you've got to have that conversation with the seller. If you're representing it and making it a listing, you've got to sit down and have that conversation, because some sellers are dogmatic about this. They want to put in there, we're not putting another dollar into this home. We are selling this thing as is. They can take it as it is. And you're thinking to yourself, You've got a beautiful home. What are we thinking here? We need to choose different language. By the way, as part of negotiation, I ignore most as is. I will tell you what I do as your guru. I ignore most as is with some exceptions. We're going to get into those exceptions here in a little bit. All right, now let's go on over into cash versus loan issues. If the as is linked to a critical loan problem, there's an issue, like there is no heat source for the home. Well, if there's no heat source for the home, we are talking a loan product problem. We may have to be talking cash only. It might be an as-is issue. Now, we'll get buyers come in and say, I want that home so bad. It's a great deal. I know you've heard this, by the way. Put in the comments what you've heard about this. I'll fix it so we can get a loan and we'll move forward. That's the buyer taking their personal money and fixing the home so that they can get a loan on it. Well, we know that's not allowed. The risk management of this is astronomical. The buyer puts in $10,000 to fix the heat source, and then the loan fails anyway, and they can't buy it. Can they get their $10,000 back out of the home? And the answer is unlikely. They just made a gift over to the seller. I mean, this is not the show to talk about exactly, but this is a problem because people feel like I'll step in, I'll fix it, we'll get a loan anyway. You can't do that. That's not allowed. That's not part of the process. The seller needs to go and fix their home if they're going to allow it to be sold on a loan product. Now, there are things that are going to block the loan products. Not going to go through them all today, but there are things that will block the loan product. Some of those things that will block the loan product are roof, foundation, heat source, plumbing. There's 4 of them right out of the gate. There are other problems, of course, mold problems for one. There's lots of problems out there that will block a loan product from going through. That's not even part of the appraisal, getting the home to be valued enough. It might be well worth enough, but there's no heat source. Come on, there's no heat source for the home. But the buyer can't remedy that with their own dollars. So they advertise the home as is, and that ends up being the issue. What can you do when that's the issue? And the deal is you can negotiate. You can raise the price of the home if there's room in the appraisal. You can raise the price of the home, or you can say, look, seller, go pay for it. You'll get someone to put a heat source in. Go pay for it out of closing. Most contractors, let me rephrase that. Lots of contractors will work with you on things like that. You're in the middle of a sale. You're under contract. You need a heat source. They want the business. They'll put a heat source in. They'll put a lien on the property short term. They will go then and close the deal and get paid out of closing. That's not a bad way to go. And it was still sold as is, by the way. Here's this as is clause, and you got yourself a brand new heat source. It's certainly one of the ways to go around this problem. Now, there are some problems with, I told you I'd get to it. There are some things to talk about when you really can get very frustrated on the as is. And that is, when do we see most of our foreclosure? That's what I'm talking about. When do we see most of our as is things come about? It's when foreclosures start going up. We're in a land right now of lots of foreclosures hitting the market because the moratorium against rental and the moratorium against going after these people is ending. and the homeowners have not been able to keep up, and they've been also on a moratorium of the banks foreclosing against them. That has ended, and all of a sudden there is an additional amount of foreclosures in the market right now. Most banks won't work with you very easily when it comes to fixing something. So that's why it becomes an as is in the market. Now, I've dealt with lots of banks on this, lots of foreclosures. Oh my goodness sakes. We were hot on foreclosures a few years ago, and we were doing them every day. And some you can repair. Some, it'll even say as is. But when it comes down to it and the bank wants to sell that house and you need a roof on it, and it won't close with the bank bringing in the loan, and you've perfected everything else, it may take time. It may take months to do it. But you may get the bank also to move even on issues like that. Even on things like a roof, foundation, heat sources, plumbing, mold. You may get them to move on things like this to close the deal, even though they are the classic one out there to declare as is. I would love to hear from you in your comments, by the way, on how do you see this happening in the market right now? Do you see as is as a detriment to getting enough money for something? Do you see it as an obstacle that people put in the way? Do you even use as is in your private notes ever? Let me take a sip of coffee here. Generally speaking, I coach when I'm the listing broker. I coach the listings to not use as is, because that is part of negotiation, and you leave the negotiation table as open as possible, knowing that as is isn't really meaningful. All you're doing are stopping offers from hitting the table that might be very, very good. Think about the obstacle you're putting out there for people and what you're doing to the marketability of that home. The marketability of the home, generally speaking, the market will interpret as is, as there is something wrong with the home and it needs improvement. The question is, does it need improvement before or after the sale? Is the improvement before or after the sale? Now, that can be difficult to know, because some things are so close. Like, will the roof qualify? And the seller is saying, we're not putting a new roof on for a buyer. You certainly can hear that out there, but lots of roofs are put on to complete a sale, because the lender doesn't want to close on something without a good, the roof is protecting the house, for heaven's sakes. Is that a legitimate as is? Generally, I believe, and I want to hear from you in the comments on this, I believe leaving the terms of negotiation for after a contract comes in. And at that point, when you're looking at the elements of the contract, because as you know, you're a professional. You studied this. You're in the industry. You're building your business. That's why you're here with us this morning. You're building your business. What you want are offers on the table. Whether you are a buyer or a seller, you want to get your offer in, because that's where the real negotiation starts. I don't care what is written in the private notes when they say it's as is or due diligence or anything else. It all comes down to what gets boiled into the contract itself. And you know, as a professional, every one of these contracts ends up being different. The conditions are different. The requirements to come up to a closing piece with an individual bank, different. It ends up being special on every one. Every one of these has to be reviewed because they end up being special unto their self. As is does not scare me. I'd like to know how you're dealing with it. Put it in the comments. How are you dealing with as is? We're seeing more and more as is hit this market in a seller's market. Let's just remember now, a seller's market. We cover it all the time, and just a reminder, a seller's market is the type where you have very few sellers, very low inventory, and you have tons of buyers. So the sellers are feeling like, I've got this home and I'm going to put as is because I don't want to do anything else. But what they're telling the market is, at least in your guru's opinion, they're telling the market there's something wrong with my house. Is that what the seller thought they were telling the market? It is my prediction and experience that's not what they think they're telling the market. As is will likely cost the seller money. All right, I've laid it out. I know that's hard. That's as cold and hard as it gets. As is will likely cost the owner of the home, the seller of the home. As is will likely cost the owner of the home money at the end of the day. Why is that? It's because the market looks at that house as there's a problem. I'm going to bid it down. They want as is. I'll take it as is, and I'll take it for $25,000 less than the stated price. Well, the owner of the home is saying, I just don't want to change carpets. If that's the goal, you needed to leave it on the table and not having it put into the private remarks or the public remarks. Don't put as is. As is becomes this hot button issue that buyers are looking for because it reflects to them a better deal in the market. And they're going to bid things down or be skeptical of the product they're getting when they very well maybe end up getting a wonderful home in the market. But this word as is driving how the market interprets it. I would love to hear from you of how your interpretation is on does as is drive the market in this manner? Is it pulling the price down of what would otherwise be, let's just say, a $400,000 house that's normally going to sell at $400,000, and you put as is in the public remarks, public or private, and as is gets out there? Are you pulling the price of the home down because there is an assumption that there is a hidden problem in the home itself? That certainly is my experience and how it's being dealt with out there. Instead of putting it in, leave it unstated. Let the offers come in, and then you as the professional show your knowledge, skills, and abilities on your fantastic ability to negotiate the individual contract with the people, which might end up being as is. But it's in the negotiation after the contract hits the table. Now, it just as a reminder, by the way, follow us on social media. And today we are going deep on the Guru members only. You can only find this on YouTube. The Guru members only event that you open up by hitting the subscribe button in YouTube. You can follow us on the address right down here. You see it right down here on the banner. It's your-realestateguru.com. Well, it's yt.your-realestateguru.com. You can see it right here in the banner on how to get there. If you're not watching the show through that venue already, because we are simulcast in multiple social medias, hit the subscribe button. Follow us there. Hit the like button. But the subscribe button is what will open up to you the Guru members only event. And today We are going after the marketing plan to put dollars in your pocket, build your business bigger than it ever could have been built, ever you could have thought it could have been built in 22. Let's build your business. You know, people come to us all the time for coaching products. We have a Kickstarter program. You can go and take a look at it, which by the way is a money back guarantee. If the program's not working for you, it's a money back guaranteed program. Put your toe in. Go try it out. See what you think. It's a money back guarantee. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, because we are busy building Realtors business. We are busy building your business with a sharp edge on the year 22, because it's different today than it ever has been in the past. The skills are different. We take your skills from the past, we resharpen them with today's skill sets, and we build your business. All right, today we've been talking about as is and the complications of as is. I can't wait to read your comments, what you've been posting about as is. I'll get back to each of you. This is Real Estate Daily. I'm your real estate guru, and we'll be talking at the members only event on YouTube in just a few minutes. See you there.